Bonjour, hi. Welcome back to another Coffee Talk. For those of you who are not familiar with Coffee Talks, it's a series and a podcast I have where every Friday I sit down with a cup of coffee. I sip on it while I talk about different topics that have been on my mind for the past week. And this week is no exception. I don't know what's been happening with me today, but I've just been so clumsy. I injured my finger. I bumped my head into a table. I spilled coffee on my floor. But I will say I am a little bit more presentable than I was last week. So that's a win. But obviously, and as always, this is not the topic of today's coffee talk. Today, we are talking about the past and more specifically, how your past doesn't define who you are. To be honest with you, I didn't know at first if that was a way that I wanted to phrase it and if that was a way that I wanted to put it, but obviously this is what I settled for. Let me just maybe dig a little deeper, which is the whole purpose of these coffee talks. But yeah, approximately, I would say a week ago, I had a conversation, a really meaningful and important conversation with a friend of mine, which usually this is kind of what's been sparking these coffee talks. It all starts with a conversation, then I think about it, I reflect on it, and then I make a coffee talk out of it. But this one in particular meant a lot to me, and it made me think of the whole past thing, and how I used to be this kind of person, and now I've evolved into another type of person. I've evolved into a new me, and I'm still like recognizing the past me, but that's not who I am anymore, and that's okay. And that's the conversation I was having with my friend. We were talking about like our past habits and how we used to see life and how we used to live life, and how that didn't resonate with us anymore, and how it was okay, you know. And this reminds me of another conversation I had with my sister. How we were talking about this one person that we both know and how they went through some stuff in the past, and how they kind of use it as an excuse for their current behavior. And I don't want to throw anyone under the bus because I've done that before. I've justified a lot of behaviors and actions by what happened to me in the past. But that's not the way that I want to see it anymore. That's not the way that I want to live life anymore, because as I said, I was this version of myself before, like a couple of years ago, and this version of who I was is so different from the person that I am today, that whatever I have gone through during those moments, yes, it's part of my history, it's part of who I am, it's part of my experience, but it doesn't define me anymore. It doesn't resonate with who I am anymore, and it's just not, I don't relate to that anymore. And I wanted to talk about that specifically because I was the kind of person who would hold on to the old version of me and who would hold on to the memories I had with people and the relationships I had in the past, but that's what they are. They're in the past. They are part of my history, as I said, but they don't define the person that I am today. Yes, they've made me into the person that I am today, but they do not define me. So for instance, this first friend I was talking about who I had the conversation with, she used to drink and then she stopped drinking, and it's almost been 6 months. And she was the kind of person who would drink once in a while, and now she doesn't anymore. So her past, which was drinking, doesn't define who she is now, because now she doesn't drink. And it's funny because we were talking about these kind of habits and how one specific action does not define who you are. And what I said to her, because we were talking about good habits and bad habits, is one instance, one action does not define who you are. And the same way, let's say somebody wants to become a runner. If they go on one run, they're not going to magically become a runner. You have to commit to it, and you have to do it more than once for it to become part of who you are, for it to become part of your identity, and for it to define you. And where I'm headed with that is that I know how uncomfortable it can be to let go of the past, because that's what you've known your entire life. And this is what is comforting. Even though it can be considered as bad or as negative, it's still what you know. It's still your comfort zone. It's still part of who you are. And truthfully, I think that's the beauty of finding who you are and becoming a new version of yourself and letting go of the past. It's the journey of redefining yourself, finding new foundations, and tracing your path as you go, instead of going backwards and instead of going back to what you've known, which is comfortable. It's going that extra mile, and it's pushing your boundaries a little more in hopes to find something new and something more enlightened and something more beautiful and something that resonates with the person that you are now and not the person that you were 2 years ago, for example. So think about that. And again, it's not about ignoring and discrediting your past and forgetting everything that you've gone through, because as I said, it made you into the person that you are today. But it's about letting go, and it's about putting it in the past, because that's what it is, quite frankly. And it's about discovering new things, and it's about exploring the now and the future, because the past has been done already. What's in the past is in the past, and you can't redo it again, because, well, if I said that it's in the past, because yeah, it is in the past. And to be quite frank with you, I find it kind of sad when I hear people say, well, that's just the way that I am. And it's not entirely true. That's the way they've been, yes. And that's the way that they choose to be now. And that's just the path that they want to go with for the future. But they're just, I don't know, I find it unfortunate that people choose to just settle for what it is and don't question it, just because that's how it's been their entire life. And again, it's all about pushing boundaries. And I get that some events in life can really be traumatic, and it can be hard to get out of it and to grow from it. But I think it's worth trying at the very least. And I think that the perfect example for me for that in particular is my sister. She's been through a lot, and she has never settled. She has never just accepted her faith the way that it was. She's always been super strong, and she's always been trying to go the extra mile and trying to do her own thing. And she could have just sat back and let life happen to her, but she didn't. And she's one of the most courageous person I know. She's one of the most strong person I know, and I admire her for that, for many things, but that in particular just proves to me that there's more, and that life is just worth trying, and it's worth pursuing whatever you want to do. And I think that's what we kind of forget about people, is we've all been through stuff. And yes, some people have it easier than others. I would consider myself to be pretty privileged. But that said, I have gone through things in the past. I have a past. We all do. We've all been through events. They're all valid, you know? It's not because somebody had it easier, then it's just going to be easier for them to grow and evolve and become a better version of themselves. But I think that a lot of it comes from determination, motivation, and being able to let go. And that's something I'm really trying to actively work on. And I've talked about this in the coffee talk about the art of letting go, and how it's one of my biggest struggles in life at the moment, for the past weeks, for the past month, but I'm getting better at it. And this also reminds me of something I actually heard this morning, and how resistance and just resisting life is the hardest thing you could do for yourself. And it's the most harmful thing you can do for yourself, because resisting life and resisting how things are supposed to go for you is so demanding. Like, you waste so much energy on trying to control everything, and on trying to, it might sound a little contradictory. What's the word? I never know how to say that word. And for so many years, this is what I've been doing. I've been trying to resist, and trying to hold on to what was in the past, and trying to hold on to the memories, and trying to hold on to relationships that didn't bring me anything, or that actually didn't mean anything. But sometimes you just gotta let it go. And you have to let go of what was and focus on what is and what will be. And that's the beauty of it. It's rediscovering who you are, rediscovering your world, rediscovering your friends, rediscovering your life, pretty much. And it's quite enjoyable. And believe me when I say this, I know that letting go takes time, and I'm not telling you to just like forget about everything that's in the past and trying to like redefine your whole being in an entire week. It takes time to find the new you and to redefine yourself and find your new hobbies and find maybe new friends, find the new you. And that's okay. It takes time. But just like most good things in life, they take time and commitment and patience. And this makes me think of another quote I saw recently about trusting the journey and trusting yourself, and how sometimes it can feel pretty scary to see the journey as like the big picture. But as long as you can see the first step ahead of you, and if you can see the next step, then this is what matters. You don't have to see the whole path. You don't have to see the whole forest. I think it was an analogy to like a forest in the dark. But as long as you can see what's in front of you, this is what matters. And yes, sometimes it'll be tempting to look back and go back where you came from because you know the path that way. But, you just got to trust yourself and just take another step forward and then another one and another one. And next thing you know, you've become this new version of yourself that is more aligned with who you are at the moment and what your goals are and the person that you're trying to be. So cheers to that. So if I could sum it all up, I'd say that your past is part of your history. It's valid and it's part of the person that you've become today, but it doesn't define the person that you are now. It defines the person you used to be, but it doesn't define the person you are currently and the person that you're trying to become. And on that note, I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you for watching or listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting me. I truly, truly, truly mean it. Hopefully, I have made a little difference in your day today. If you would like to make a difference in mine, you know what to do. And I'm going to wish you une bonne journée.